Alrighty, what is going on, fam? Hope you are doing well. Welcome to another episode of the Get More Client Show. So happy to have you, as always, joined by my co-host Brian Downer. Brian, how you doing?
Living the dream as always.
Hey, love it. Today we are talking about a very important topic on the Get More Client Show, and that is the idea in and of itself of the Get More Client Show in general, which is, can I still get more clients? Can I still run a company? Can I build a digital marketing agency in this very saturated and very competitive environment? The answer is no. That was the show. Thanks so much for joining us. And all right, we're kidding. Obviously, that is not the answer, but it is the premise of today's show because we see so many agency owners out there, especially people just getting started or people that have been in this agency world for over a decade, still struggling to think like, did I miss the boat? Did the bubble burst? Did I lose my opportunities? Why are these niches so saturated? So, Brian, I want to kick it off to you first. I want to ask you, Brian, are these niches too saturated? Is chiropractors too saturated? Are attorneys too saturated? Are doctors too saturated? Are everyone real estate agents too saturated? What do you think?
Before I answer that, let me ask you, do you know what, and I'm sure you do as a psychology major, but confirmation bias is?
Of course, 100%.
Right. So for those of you listening who don't, it's where your brain will naturally look for proof or reasons to believe whatever you initially believed, right? To validate a thought you had. So I think a lot of times, especially when you're in the marketing space and you have a thought like that, you look for the reasons why that might be the case. And a lot of times, if you are in industries that I would say are quite big, like real estate, you might feel it more often because you might hear from a lot of people, oh, it didn't work. I tried this before, marketing doesn't work, blah, 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 all these things. And first of all, I want to say, in every industry, there are not only an abundance of opportunities, but more importantly, there are businesses hungry for someone they can trust, who's actually going to care, actually deliver results. And even if you find valid proof that your industry has a lot of competition, it doesn't mean that they're doing it right or even half right and as good as you could possibly do and serve that industry. So the easy and simple answer is no, but I want to challenge your beliefs if you're telling yourself that and look outside of it. And I would also challenge you and say you're probably playing too small of a game and thinking too small if you believe that. We push a lot of our clients now to sell one to many versus just one to one. And what that looks like is getting heavily involved in your industry. And then when you do that, especially with the groups and associations, you'll naturally rub shoulders with the highest people, or the people who are highest up, for lack of a better way to say that, in the industry, the most experienced, the people who are the leadership of the industry. Rubbing shoulders with those people will naturally give you opportunities in your space that no other agency could touch or would be able to achieve because they're down here playing the small game. They're not playing with the bigger fish, going after the bigger opportunities that exist. So first of all, the answer to your question, no, they are not oversaturated. I'll let you share the stats on it in just a second because I know you have a great number and an example. But more importantly, they need help and they need quality agencies. So if you're willing to step up and own that, then there is massive opportunity still in every industry.
Love that.
So I know you, Alex, though, have some specific stats you'd love to share. So why don't you break that down for us here as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest obstacle for most people is thinking, did I miss the boat? Like, can I still have a successful marketing agency? Can I still offer SEO or Facebook or web design or Google PPC or ISA? Or can I make an agency that's successful? I want to go the esoteric route for just 1 second and first identify and clarify what success means to you. I think a lot of times the words are like thrown out into the garbage, like suddenly everyone agrees on it. I think most human beings and most entrepreneurs would agree on very standard specific elements of success of like financial freedom and time freedom, but very individual goals of success is really the biggest, most important element to identifying, did you miss the boat? Like if you're saying, did I miss the boat on having an 1,000 person marketing agency with 10,000 clients? Maybe. I mean, probably not, but maybe. Is that really what you're trying to do? Did I miss the boat on building, a local marketing agency in Tallahassee with 15 clients and making $7,500 in profit every single month? No, definitely not. You definitely did not miss the boat. So I think the first clarification before we even dive into specific data and is identifying first what success means to you. Like, What boat are you afraid that you missed? Like the in general idea of I missed the agency boat, you certainly didn't miss it. Before the agency boat, of course, was standard marketing companies, and obviously a lot of these standard marketing companies, people that have been doing this since 60s, 70s, 80s, and then of course early 90s, where we're talking about traditional media like television or radio advertising or print media or magazines or all that kind of stuff, right? Like all of the previous styles of advertising, billboards included, those are still very successful companies, and a lot of them have moved into the digital space as well, because of course everything at some point is going to have digital real estate, and the digital real estate environment is going to become so valuable over the next 10, 20, 30, 50 years. So you definitely didn't miss the boat. If anything, we're still on just the cusp of understanding what digital marketing was. It's just barely 10 years since Facebook even launched ads on their platform. I don't even know when they bought Instagram, but not too long ago. Just consider, like, these things are all still in their infancy. The problem is you live in a bubble. You live in a world on Facebook and social media and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok where everyone in your space is talking about the agency model. So it overemphasizes to you thinking, oh my God, everyone does this. But like, go back to a friend from high school. Go back to a friend that took a more conventional route in their life and their business model, like that became a doctor or a lawyer or an attorney, which is a lawyer, or anything at all. First of all, how funny would it be, Brian, to be like, hey, did I miss the mark on being an attorney? Like, is it too saturated? Like, who would say that, right? But of course, in the agency space, for some reason, that's like this weird scarcity tactic that a lot of coaches use. Like, if you don't do this now, you're going to miss the mark. You're not missing mark on anything, man. You're not missing anything. There's so much opportunity for you. We're still in its infancy. And again, just go to someone that went the conventional route in their life and in their business, or just did a completely different entrepreneurial hustle. If you tell them that you run Facebook ads for local chiropractors and you help them get more patients, they'd be like, that's a business? People do that? Really? Yeah, bro, I do that. You know the ads that follow you around for that, neck roller thing that you wanted to buy? I run those ads. That's me. That's this
I used
guy,
to
right?
say that when people ask me what I do. It's like, I stalk you on the internet with advertisements.
Exactly. I get people from high school that follow me and see like the stuff I post all the time, and they message me every once in a while like, what the hell is your business, bro? I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like, you don't get it because everyone else understands it. So remember, you're in a bubble. You're in a bubble. So obviously when you're in a bubble and everyone's talking about it, it seems oversaturated. It seems more competition than needed. Here's the data. And I got this from Ryan Deiss, so I don't want to take any credit from it. And these are over a year old, these numbers, but it's still really valuable to consider because the numbers certainly didn't change that much. Here's some very just basic numbers. There are approximately 500,000 digital agencies in the world. 500,000, right? 500,000. Even if that number was 750,000 or even a million, this number still holds true in terms of the value of understanding it. But let's go with 500,000 digital agencies in the world, okay? If that sounds like a lot, there are over 120 million over 120 million small businesses worldwide, meaning that if the math tells us there is enough business in the world for every agency owner, every single one, to have 250 clients. Now, I want to make this point clear. Brian and I collectively have worked with more than 2,500 agencies, not individually. Obviously, we're talking about in groups and everything like that. And if we talk about our proliferation of our entire, business model, way more than 10,000 agency owners, unquestionably, like not even a question. In our program alone, we've worked with more than 1,000, literally hand to hand. Okay, 1,000. I can't name one that has 250 clients. Not one. Not a single agency. Let me ask you this to go further on this process. Brian, how many agency owners do we know personally that have had 150 clients?
I could count them on my hand, probably. There's a couple
Also
of them.
known as probably none. How many had 100?
Same answer.
Probably
Couple.
none. 50. Okay, maybe now we're starting to get to the number. 25, probably the more likelihood. What we've seen in the industry, and probably what you've seen as well, listener, yes, you, probably the 1%ers in this space are the ones that have 25 clients or more. Maybe if we want to argue it out, we can say 50 clients or more. I just said the data shows that we can have 250 clients each. Give me a break. You didn't miss the mark. You didn't miss the boat. There's so much opportunity available for everyone, Brian. It's crazy to think about it.
Yeah. I love this conversation for sure, but we unfortunately, and again, back to that confirmation bias, sort of joke about this sometimes, but maybe sticks in our clients and community's mind that I make the joke that the only thing easier to get into than real estate is marketing, which is why those two industries kind of butt heads. So I will actually share a thought that you probably did miss the boat on. For mature industries, again, digital marketing is still relatively new, a decade maybe or more. Um, but industries like real estate, like gyms that are more mature, do have a better understanding and sophistication around marketing versus like HVAC or maybe garage doors or industry or patio furniture that I worked in or doctors' offices that don't need newer technologies. They're a little bit older, but the market maturity really affects how good of an offer you need to have to play in that industry. And I think
100%.
you did miss the boat on having a crappy offer because in a mature industry, because these mature industries are getting smart. And real estate agents know now Facebook ads aren't just the answer. You typically need Facebook ads and an appointment setter. So how can you challenge yourself to be a conversion focused agency? You don't need to be this right away, but you need to have the goal of moving towards that because frankly, you're not going to be able to get away with just pretending like you're making a big impact in their business if you're not, especially if they have a sophisticated understanding of their market and how marketing works in their space. If you're not producing a real result and you're just playing on their website or putting some content on their blog that's not driving any traffic and they're not seeing the real KPIs move that matter, leads, customers, client retention, lifetime value, all those less time investment, less stress in the business. You're not delivering those things to them. You did miss the boat because you're going to need to step up your game significantly to compete in this space. Now, that's not saying you still can't sell crappy offers. You shouldn't, but you need to be willing to sell an imperfect offer to make it better. You think POD, if you look at us today, it wasn't like this 3 years ago. We built and added on top. And even to this week alone, we're not beating ourselves up, but very hard on ourselves about where we need to have honest looks at the program to improve it because we know it's a journey and it's not just a destination. So I just wanted to make sure that you have that understanding that depending on the industry you want to serve, crappy offers aren't going to cut it anymore. So you have to have an
No.
understanding of how you convert, not just attract leads.
I love the world that we live in, Brian, that once crappy offers were previously suitable. So, like, yeah, just leads, they're good enough. It's fine. It's so funny to consider that. One thing that Brian likes to talk about that I think will be a good way to wrap up today's Get More Client show is the idea of this infinite game. Brian says it more in a motivational sense to avoid people overemphasizing and over catastrophizing, which is not a word, but you know exactly what I'm saying. Like each individual scenario, like, oh my God, Brian, I have a client that wants to cancel. What do I do? And like they like are ready to freak out, even though they have this exact same problem like a month ago or 6 months ago, and they're fine now. We all do this. We've all been there before. Whether it was you were freaking out about a test in college that you freaked out about 7 times elsewhere, or you freaked about how your parents are going to react to something even though they reacted in a different way elsewhere. Like we just constantly forget about our perspective prior. So Brian likes to talk about the idea of like the infinite game. At some point you'll hit every single obstacle and every single obstacle provides new opportunity to learn from and grow from. And that's such a valuable insight. But one of the insights that's kind of unfounded and things we don't talk about of the infinite game is it really is an infinite game. There's so much available opportunity for you. There's literally no scarcity in any way in this industry. None. Like even the most saturated niche possible, even the ones that you think have been completely dominated, there's still availability, right? Because there's always availability for people that are willing to do something unique or different, right? It's why, yes, Subway has become omnipresent or ubiquitous as the sub shop across the United States, and yet a lot of people love.
Yeah, you beat me too. You beat me to it. The quality suffers as the yeah.
So the quality is not as good because there's so much of it, because it's ubiquitous, but there's still a reason why some people will go to like D's French bakery shop, right? D's French bakery shop is just one location in downtown Detroit, and lots of people will go to it. And the reason why is because that's a family-owned and operated business, not because the market's saturated, Subway took over the business. There's always available opportunity. It's just dependent on the type of business you want to run. If D is trying to create in this metaphor, a competitor to Subway, well, that's not going to happen, right? But who are you competing against? And I think I'll leave you with this. And Brian, anything else you want to add, please feel free. But I think the key element here is remembering that comparison is the thief of joy. You don't have to compare yourself to anyone else. I'm not wearing the shirt today, unfortunately, but it's just about getting 1% better every day. It's about focusing on you and what you're doing and what your life's all about. Because when it all is said and done, no one cares, man. No one cares about what other people are doing. No one cares about the great things you're doing. The only thing that matters is you, your community, the people that do care about you, your friends, your family, your clients, and of course, giving it your best and being a person of integrity. That's what POD is about. That's why we're always representing culture. And that's why we try to stray away from all the standard bullshit marketing that would usually be like, no, the opportunities are ending. The world's on fire. If you don't do it now, it's over forever. That's not the intention of what we're here for. And I think that's the point of this episode.
Cool. I'll leave you guys with two thoughts. Act out of abundance, not scarcity, because it is a scarcity mindset to believe that there's not enough opportunities. And then again, you find reasons and ways to have that become a self-fulfilling prophecy versus reminding yourself and having the affirmation that there are opportunities. I will go take those today. I will not get distracted with shiny objects, and I will put in the work to go connect with people in my industry. And the final thought would be quality over quantity. Again, not everyone wants a 258 client business, and that's a pain in the ass. I see how the bigger agencies work. It's like Subway. The quality suffers because there's so much volume that they can't really control it. And for us, and our theme is work with the people, a small quantity of people you really care about, provide a high value, high ticket offer and program that really solves a solution, and solve that for them. And the business will grow itself naturally, and you can scale because there's the word of mouth around your business is not only positive, but the quality of what you do and what you deliver proliferates the industry versus just taking and churning and burning clients for the sake of getting more. So I would leave you with those two ideas, but I think this is a fantastic topic, and I'm glad we got into it today.
Nobody wants the churn and burn rash. Like Brian said, it's a subjective opinion if you want to have 250 clients or not. I think Brian and I are both among the people that definitely don't want that. We're definitely about quality over quantity, especially for quality control when you talk about the amount of quantity you have. Before we go, real quick question, Brian. What was the most amount of clients you had in your agency at once?
12, and I was losing my mind.
Yeah, and that was probably crazy. What about the apps? How many apps did you have to do at once?
For the apps, so that's when I was making huge mistakes in my business. I would do all the fulfillment. I would only take on one or two at a time. I'd get a client, I'd do all the fulfillment for 2 or 3 months, and I wouldn't even have any clients when I look up. Like, okay, it's done. I capped out very quickly on that.
Yeah, so for me, the most amount of attorneys we worked with was I think like 25, which was huge mistake. Terrible experience, definitely not worth it. And then in POD now actually is our max. It's the most we ever had. I think we have 58 clients, which is pretty incredible. So wild. So
it's been amazing again to be able to charge a premium to deliver a premium service, right? So we've been able to hire world-class coaches and surround our clients with a good team so we can scale and remove ourselves from it, because that is the end goal. But love this topic. Thank you guys so much for your time today. As always, if you like this, hit that like button, subscribe on whatever platform you're watching this on. We're all over the place. You can't hide from us. And Alex, anything else you want to do to bring him home?
Nope. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Brian. Everyone have an amazing rest of your day. Take action when you listen to these. Actually, don't just listen and do nothing about it. Take action, implement. We'll see you on the next one.
See you guys.